In today's video, we're diving into the key traits that naturally attract women and make a man stand out. Attraction isn't just about looks, it's about presence, mindset, and the way you carry yourself. Women are drawn to men who exude confidence, maintain strong personal values, and continuously strive for growth. It's not about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about becoming the best version of yourself and allowing your true character to shine. Too many men believe they need to chase, impress, or constantly prove their worth to win a woman's interest. But the reality is quite the opposite. True attraction is about self-respect, emotional control, and the ability to create intrigue without desperation. A man who sets boundaries, embraces mystery, and remains emotionally detached when necessary, commands respect and admiration. In this video, we'll break down the essential qualities that make a man naturally magnetic. From the strength of mystery to the power of personal growth, you'll learn how to cultivate traits that make you more attractive without trying too hard. By understanding these psychological and Stoic principles, you can shift the way people perceive you and build stronger, more meaningful connections. Stay tuned as we uncover the secrets to effortless attraction. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful insights. And if you have any thoughts, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your perspective. Let's get started. Number 1. The need for validation. One of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships and attraction is seeking constant validation. The need for approval, whether from a woman or society, weakens a man's presence and makes him appear insecure. True confidence comes from within, not from the opinions of others. Women are naturally drawn to men who are self-assured, independent, and emotionally stable. When a man constantly looks for reassurance, whether through compliments, attention, or external validation, it signals self-doubt and lowers his perceived value. Men who crave validation often fall into the trap of over-explaining themselves, trying too hard to impress, or changing their behavior just to gain approval. This can manifest in various ways, such as always seeking a woman's opinion before making a decision, fishing for compliments, or feeling anxious when she doesn't immediately respond to a message. These behaviors communicate a lack of confidence and make a man seem overly dependent on external approval for his self-worth. A high-value man, on the other hand, does not base his confidence on how others perceive him. Instead, he remains grounded in his own principles, beliefs, and personal growth. To overcome the need for validation, a man must first develop a strong sense of self-worth. This begins with self-improvement, building skills, pursuing passions, and setting meaningful goals. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, validation becomes unnecessary because you recognize your own value. Instead of seeking approval, you naturally command respect by the way you carry yourself. This shift in mindset is incredibly attractive because it conveys emotional strength and security. Another key aspect of eliminating validation-seeking behavior is emotional detachment. This doesn't mean being indifferent or cold, but rather maintaining inner stability regardless of how someone else reacts to you. If a woman pulls away or acts unpredictably, an emotionally secure man does not panic or chase. He simply continues living his life with purpose. This calm, controlled energy makes him more attractive because it shows that he is not easily swayed by external circumstances. Additionally, setting boundaries plays a crucial role in breaking free from validation-seeking habits. A man who respects himself does not tolerate disrespect or compromise his values to gain approval. For example, if someone constantly tests his patience or disrespects his time, he will calmly but firmly address it, rather than bending over backward to please them. This level of self-respect naturally earns admiration and reinforces his value. Ultimately, overcoming the need for validation is about shifting your focus inward rather than outward. When you develop unshakable confidence, self-respect, and emotional independence, you no longer need external approval to feel secure. Women, and people in general, are instinctively drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin. The moment you stop seeking validation, you step into your true power, effortlessly attracting respect, admiration, and deeper connections. Number 2. The emotional reaction trap. One of the most common ways men lose their power in relationships and social interactions is by falling into the emotional reaction trap. This occurs when a man allows his emotions, especially frustration, anger, or insecurity, to dictate his behavior. Instead of responding with calmness and composure, he reacts impulsively, often making the situation worse. Women, and people in general, are naturally drawn to those who can maintain control over their emotions, as it signals strength, maturity, and confidence. When a man reacts emotionally, he gives away his power. Whether it's overreacting to a woman's words, getting upset over a delayed text message, or becoming defensive when challenged, these reactions communicate insecurity. Instead of appearing strong, he comes across as easily shaken and emotionally unstable. This can create tension in relationships, causing the other person to lose respect for him. Emotional stability, on the other hand, signals high value. A man who remains composed in difficult situations demonstrates that he is in control of himself, which naturally earns admiration. To avoid falling into the emotional reaction trap, the first step is practicing emotional detachment. This does not mean suppressing emotions or being indifferent, but rather learning to pause before reacting. When faced with a frustrating situation, take a deep breath and assess whether your reaction will improve the outcome. For example, if someone tries to provoke you, instead of immediately lashing out, remain calm and respond thoughtfully. This controlled response not only keeps your dignity intact, but also shifts the power dynamic in your favor. Another way to escape the emotional reaction trap is by reframing challenges. Instead of seeing criticism, rejection, or setbacks as personal attacks, view them as opportunities for growth. If a woman tests you or pulls away emotionally, rather than panicking or reacting with neediness, recognize that this is often subconscious behavior meant to gauge your emotional strength. A high-value man remains unaffected, showing that his sense of self-worth is not dependent on external validation. Additionally, mastering Stoic principles can help cultivate emotional resilience. The ancient Stoics believed that we cannot control external events, only our reactions to them. Applying this mindset means accepting that people will sometimes be difficult, disrespectful, or unpredictable, but how you handle these situations defines your character. By maintaining emotional control, you not only protect your peace, but also command greater respect in all areas of life. In relationships, emotional stability creates a strong foundation. When a man remains composed under pressure, he reassures his partner and fosters a sense of security. Conversely, if he frequently reacts emotionally, whether by arguing, sulking, or seeking validation, he creates instability that weakens attraction. Ultimately, escaping the emotional reaction trap requires self-awareness, discipline, and a mindset shift. By practicing self-control, embracing challenges, and focusing on inner stability, a man can develop an unshakable presence that naturally commands respect. The more emotionally grounded you become, the more effortlessly you attract admiration, trust, and deeper connections. Number 3. The desire for security. Security is a fundamental human need, and men often seek it in various forms: financial stability, emotional reassurance, or predictability in relationships. While the desire for security is natural, when it becomes a driving force behind decisions, it can lead to complacency, dependence, and even fear of change. A man who is overly focused on security may unknowingly limit his potential and weaken his influence in both relationships and life. One of the most common ways men seek security is through emotional dependence. Many men tie their sense of well-being to the validation and approval of others, especially from women. They become overly attached to relationships, fearing rejection or abandonment. This neediness can be a major turn-off because it signals a lack of self-sufficiency. A man who constantly seeks reassurance from his partner, asking if she still loves him, worrying about small changes in her behavior, or adjusting his actions to avoid conflict, projects insecurity rather than strength. True confidence comes from within, not from external validation. Another way the desire for security manifests is through avoidance of risk and discomfort. Many men settle for mediocrity in their careers, relationships, and personal growth simply because they fear the unknown. They stay in jobs they dislike, avoid difficult conversations, or remain in unfulfilling relationships because it feels safe. However, this mindset leads to stagnation. Growth only happens when a man steps outside his comfort zone, embraces uncertainty, and takes calculated risks. A man who clings to security at the expense of growth limits his potential and loses the respect of those around him. Financial security is another major concern for men, and while it is important, an obsession with stability can lead to a scarcity mindset. Some men become overly cautious with money, avoiding opportunities for fear of failure. Others may become so focused on accumulating wealth that they neglect other aspects of life, such as relationships, health, and personal fulfillment. True security comes not just from financial success, but from adaptability, the ability to handle setbacks and thrive in any situation. Instead of fearing loss, a strong man focuses on building skills, resilience, and multiple streams of growth. To overcome the security trap, a man must learn to trust himself. This means developing inner confidence that is not dependent on external circumstances. Instead of fearing rejection, he should embrace it as a learning experience. Instead of avoiding risks, he should take bold but intelligent actions that challenge his limits. A man who is willing to face uncertainty with courage earns the respect of those around him. In relationships, a man who provides security without being dependent on it is highly attractive. Women respect a man who is emotionally stable, financially responsible, and confident in his decisions, without being controlling or fearful. Instead of seeking security through constant validation, he builds it within himself, creating a strong, independent presence that naturally attracts admiration. Ultimately, true security comes from self-mastery. A man who is comfortable with uncertainty, who trusts his ability to adapt, and who prioritizes growth over comfort, is the one who commands respect, achieves success, and leads a fulfilling life. Number 4, the power of curiosity. Curiosity is one of the most underrated yet powerful traits a man can possess. It fuels personal growth, deepens relationships, and sets men apart as thinkers, leaders, and innovators. A curious man is never stagnant. He seeks knowledge, challenges his own beliefs, and explores life with an open mind. While many men become complacent, accepting things as they are, those who embrace curiosity unlock new opportunities, gain wisdom, and command respect effortlessly. One of the key ways curiosity enhances a man's life is through continuous learning. In a world that is constantly evolving, those who stop learning quickly become irrelevant. Whether it's mastering a new skill, reading thought-provoking books, or staying informed about different perspectives, a man who seeks knowledge keeps his mind sharp. This not only makes him more capable in his career and personal life, but also makes him far more engaging in conversations. Women and peers alike are drawn to men who can discuss a variety of topics with depth and enthusiasm. A man who says, "That's interesting. Tell me more," rather than shutting down new ideas, naturally attracts respect and admiration. Curiosity also plays a vital role in relationships. Many men struggle in relationships because they assume they already understand their partner. They stop asking questions, stop exploring deeper emotions, and take things for granted. However, a man who remains curious about his partner's thoughts, feelings, and aspirations keeps the relationship dynamic and fulfilling. Instead of making assumptions, he actively listens and asks meaningful questions. What's something you've always wanted to try but never have? Or what's been on your mind lately? Simple yet thoughtful inquiries like these show genuine interest and deepen emotional connections. Beyond relationships, curiosity fosters adaptability and problem-solving skills. In life, unexpected challenges are inevitable. The difference between a weak man and a strong one is how he responds. A man who lacks curiosity reacts to problems with frustration, seeing them as roadblocks. A curious man, however, sees obstacles as puzzles to be solved. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" he asks, "How can I overcome this?" This mindset shift makes him resilient and resourceful, qualities that make him both respected and successful. Curiosity also prevents rigid thinking and close-mindedness. Many men get trapped in their ways, unwilling to consider new perspectives. They cling to outdated beliefs simply because they are familiar, refusing to question them. However, true intelligence comes from the ability to examine different viewpoints without immediately rejecting them. A man who says, "I've never considered that before, let me think about it," demonstrates intellectual strength, while a man who dismisses new ideas out of fear or pride limits his own growth. Finally, embracing curiosity makes life more exciting and fulfilling. A man who seeks out new experiences, traveling to unfamiliar places, trying new hobbies, meeting diverse people, lives a richer life than one who stays within his comfort zone. This adventurous spirit not only makes him more interesting, but also keeps his mind open to endless possibilities. In the end, curiosity is a silent force that separates extraordinary men from the ordinary. It drives self-improvement, strengthens relationships, and builds resilience. A man who remains curious never stops growing, and in turn, never stops attracting respect, admiration, and success. Number 5. The fear of losing control. The fear of losing control is one of the most powerful and deeply ingrained concerns for many men. Society often conditions men to be strong, decisive, and in command at all times. As a result, many develop an almost obsessive need to maintain control over their relationships, careers, emotions, and even the future. While a certain level of control is necessary for stability, an excessive fear of losing it can lead to anxiety, insecurity, and destructive behaviors. One of the biggest problems with this fear is that it creates resistance to change. Men who are overly concerned with control often struggle when life doesn't go as planned. Whether it's a career setback, a failed relationship, or an unexpected challenge, they react with frustration instead of adaptation. However, the truth is that life is unpredictable. The most powerful men are not those who control everything, but those who know how to remain composed when control is lost. Instead of resisting change, they embrace it as an opportunity to grow. When faced with uncertainty, a man should ask himself, "What can I learn from this situation?" rather than, "Why is this happening to me?" This simple shift in mindset can turn fear into strength. In relationships, the fear of losing control often manifests as possessiveness and insecurity. Many men feel uneasy when they don't have complete control over their partner's emotions or actions. They may become jealous, overly protective, or even manipulative in an attempt to maintain a sense of dominance. But ironically, the more a man tries to control someone, the more likely he is to push them away. True strength comes from confidence, not control. A high-value man understands that he cannot and should not dictate another person's choices. Instead of fearing that a partner might leave, he trusts in his own worth and remains emotionally secure, knowing that if a relationship is meant to last, it will. Another area where the fear of losing control affects men is emotional vulnerability. Many men believe that showing emotions, especially sadness or uncertainty, is a sign of weakness. They suppress their feelings, afraid that opening up will make them appear weak or unmanly. However, emotional suppression does not make a man stronger. It makes him emotionally rigid and disconnected. A truly strong man understands that control isn't about avoiding emotions, but about managing them with wisdom. He knows that expressing emotions in a healthy way, whether through deep conversations, self-reflection, or constructive outlets, is a sign of self-awareness, not weakness. Furthermore, the need for control can limit personal and professional growth. Men who always need to be in control may avoid taking risks because they fear failure. They prefer to stick with what is safe and familiar rather than explore new opportunities. But the most successful men are not those who never fail. They are the ones who take risks, adapt when things don't go as expected, and keep moving forward. Instead of fearing failure, a man should see it as part of the journey toward mastery. Ultimately, the fear of losing control is an illusion. No one can control everything, and trying to do so only leads to stress and frustration. The key to overcoming this fear is learning to trust oneself, embrace uncertainty, and focus on what can be controlled: attitude, effort, and response to challenges. A man who masters this mindset not only gains inner peace but also becomes more attractive, confident, and powerful in all areas of life. Number 6. The power of independence. Independence is one of the most attractive and powerful qualities a man can possess. It signals confidence, self-sufficiency, and a strong sense of identity. A man who is truly independent does not rely on others for validation, happiness, or direction. Instead, he creates his own path, makes decisions based on his values, and stands firm in his beliefs. This level of self-reliance is not only essential for personal growth, but also for building healthy and fulfilling relationships. One of the key aspects of independence is emotional self-sufficiency. Many men fall into the trap of depending on external sources, such as relationships, social status, or material success, to feel whole. However, true independence means being comfortable with oneself, whether single or in a relationship, whether successful or struggling. A man who is emotionally independent does not seek constant validation from others. He does not allow his mood to be dictated by how someone treats him or whether society approves of his choices. Instead, he finds confidence within himself. This inner strength makes him highly attractive to others because he exudes stability, assurance, and calmness. Another crucial part of independence is financial and career autonomy. A man who is in control of his own financial well-being has greater freedom to make decisions based on his desires rather than out of necessity or obligation. He does not feel trapped in unhealthy relationships, toxic workplaces, or unfulfilling situations because he has the means to walk away when necessary. Financial independence is not about being rich. It is about having the ability to sustain oneself without being overly reliant on anyone else. This self-sufficiency allows a man to pursue his passions, take calculated risks, and live on his own terms. In relationships, independence plays a crucial role in maintaining balance and mutual respect. Men who lack independence often become overly attached, needy, or controlling, fearing that their partner will leave them if they don't constantly prove their worth. On the other hand, an independent man does not seek validation from his partner. He already knows his value. He supports and respects his partner's independence as well, creating a dynamic where both individuals grow together rather than becoming emotionally dependent on each other. Women are naturally drawn to men who have their own lives, ambitions, and interests outside of the relationship. This keeps the attraction strong and prevents the relationship from becoming stagnant. Independence also cultivates mental resilience. Life is unpredictable, and a man who depends too much on external stability will struggle when faced with challenges. However, an independent man develops the ability to adapt, overcome, and thrive no matter what obstacles arise. He does not panic when things go wrong. Instead, he relies on his resourcefulness and problem-solving skills to navigate difficulties. This resilience not only helps him succeed, but also inspires those around him. Ultimately, the power of independence is about freedom, confidence, and self-mastery. It allows a man to live life on his own terms, form meaningful relationships based on mutual respect, and pursue his goals without fear. A truly independent man is not just someone who stands alone, he is someone who stands strong. Number 7, the desire for growth. Growth is one of the most fundamental desires that drive human nature. Whether in personal development, career, relationships, or mindset, the pursuit of progress is what keeps life meaningful and exciting. A man who embraces growth signals to the world that he is not content with mediocrity. He is constantly evolving, learning, and striving to become the best version of himself. This trait is incredibly attractive as it demonstrates ambition, resilience, and the ability to adapt to life's challenges. A key aspect of growth is setting and pursuing goals. Men who actively work towards their aspirations, whether it's advancing in their careers, learning a new skill, or improving their health, exude confidence and purpose. A man who has a clear vision for his future and takes decisive action toward it shows that he is not stagnant. He is someone who understands the importance of continuous improvement. This mindset is infectious, inspiring those around him, especially in romantic relationships. Women, in particular, admire men who have ambition and a drive to succeed because it signals security, strength, and leadership. However, growth is not just about career success or financial stability. It also applies to emotional and intellectual development. A man who is willing to challenge his own beliefs, engage in deep conversations, and expand his perspective through books, travel, or learning new skills becomes far more engaging and valuable. Stagnation, both mentally and emotionally, leads to complacency, which can cause relationships and personal fulfillment to suffer. On the other hand, a man who is curious, adaptable, and open to change keeps life interesting and dynamic. One of the most important ways to demonstrate growth is by stepping out of your comfort zone. Whether it's facing fears, taking risks, or pushing beyond perceived limitations, every challenge conquered is an opportunity for self-improvement. For example, if public speaking is a fear, a growth-oriented man might join a group or take a course to build his confidence. This willingness to embrace discomfort and improve upon weaknesses not only boosts personal development, but also earns deep respect from others. Growth is attractive because it shows strength, the strength to acknowledge one's shortcomings and the determination to overcome them. In relationships, the desire for growth is crucial. A man who prioritizes his own development also encourages his partner to grow. This creates a balanced and fulfilling dynamic where both individuals push each other to be better versions of themselves. Instead of being threatened by his partner's success, an evolved man supports and celebrates it. If she is considering a new career path but hesitating, he reassures her with confidence, saying, "You have the skills and passion for this. I know you'll do great." This kind of encouragement builds a strong foundation of mutual growth and respect. Ultimately, the desire for growth is what separates those who thrive from those who merely exist. A man who continuously evolves, refines his character, and pursues excellence not only attracts success, but also creates a life filled with purpose, fulfillment, and admiration. Number 8. The strength of mystery. Mystery has always been one of the most powerful forces in human attraction. Throughout history, men who possess an air of intrigue and unpredictability have been the ones who captivate the minds and hearts of others. It's not about being secretive or manipulative, but rather about maintaining an element of the unknown that sparks curiosity and excitement. A man who reveals everything about himself too soon often loses the intrigue that keeps a relationship dynamic and engaging. One of the most effective ways to cultivate mystery is by pacing how much you share. Instead of immediately revealing all your thoughts, experiences, and emotions, offer glimpses that invite deeper conversations over time. For instance, if a woman asks about your past, rather than laying everything out at once, you might say, "There's a story from my high school days that's both embarrassing and hilarious. I'll tell you sometime." This approach leaves her intrigued and eager to learn more. It also establishes a sense of depth as she realizes there is more to uncover about you. Another key aspect of mystery is unpredictability. Predictable behavior can quickly lead to boredom, whereas an element of spontaneity keeps things exciting. This doesn't mean being inconsistent or unreliable, but rather introducing small surprises into interactions. For example, instead of always planning the same kind of date, switch things up with an unexpected adventure, like a spontaneous road trip or a surprise visit to a new restaurant. The ability to keep things fresh and exciting ensures that the relationship never falls into monotony. Mystery also extends to your demeanor and energy. A man who remains composed, confident, and slightly reserved is naturally intriguing. He doesn't feel the need to constantly explain himself or seek validation. If someone asks about his future plans, he might say, "I have some big things in the works. I'll share more when the time is right." By holding back just enough, he creates an aura of intrigue that draws people closer. Additionally, maintaining a certain level of independence enhances mystery. A man who has his own life, interests, and passions outside of a relationship is far more appealing than someone who is overly available. When you are constantly engaged in activities that fulfill you, whether it's building a business, traveling, or pursuing personal goals, it naturally makes others curious about what drives you. Women, in particular, are drawn to men who have depth and purpose beyond the relationship itself. The strength of mystery is also evident in how you handle emotions and conflicts. Instead of reacting impulsively or always expressing every thought and feeling, a mysterious man remains calm and composed. He doesn't over-explain his actions or seek approval. Instead, he lets his actions speak for themselves. This ability to maintain control over one's emotions adds an additional layer of intrigue and respect. In the end, the strength of mystery lies in knowing that less is often more. A man who keeps a part of himself unknown creates an irresistible pull that keeps people invested. He remains a challenge, a puzzle to be solved, and that makes all the difference in maintaining attraction and respect. Number 9. The value of boundaries. Boundaries are one of the most crucial yet overlooked aspects of maintaining self-respect, emotional balance, and healthy relationships. Many men avoid setting boundaries out of fear that they will push others away, especially in romantic relationships. However, the reality is quite the opposite. Clear and firm boundaries command respect and create a dynamic where both individuals feel valued. Women in particular are naturally drawn to men who have the strength to set and enforce boundaries because it signals confidence, self-respect, and emotional maturity. The first step to establishing strong boundaries is knowing your non-negotiables. These are the core values, priorities, and principles that you refuse to compromise, no matter the circumstances. For example, if personal time is essential to you, make it clear early on. Saturdays are my time to recharge and focus on my hobbies. It's important for me to have that space. Communicating this up front prevents misunderstandings and ensures that your needs are acknowledged and respected. Boundaries are especially important when dealing with disrespectful or manipulative behavior. If someone crosses a line, whether it's through passive-aggressive comments, excessive demands, or attempts to control your time, it's vital to address it calmly but firmly. Instead of reacting emotionally, you can say, "I value open and respectful communication. If we can talk without insults or raised voices, I'm happy to continue this conversation." This sends a clear message that you won't tolerate being disrespected while maintaining a composed and rational demeanor. Another key aspect of boundaries is knowing when to say no. Many men fall into the trap of overextending themselves to please others, believing it will make them more likable. However, constantly saying yes to everything, whether it's favors, emotional labor, or changes in plans, often leads to burnout and resentment. Learning to say no without guilt is a powerful skill that reinforces your self-worth. If a request doesn't align with your priorities, you can simply respond with, "I appreciate you asking, but I can't commit to that right now." No long explanations are needed. Boundaries also play a role in maintaining emotional independence. It's natural to care about how others feel, but you are not responsible for managing their emotions at the expense of your own well-being. If someone tries to guilt trip or pressure you into doing something you're uncomfortable with, step back and remind yourself that their emotions are theirs to handle. Responding with, "I understand how you feel, but this is something I need to do for myself," allows you to acknowledge their perspective without surrendering your own needs. Finally, boundaries are a two-way street. Just as you enforce your own limits, you must also respect those of others. If a woman expresses that she needs space, time alone, or has certain deal breakers, honor her wishes without taking it personally. Mutual respect for each other's boundaries fosters a balanced and healthy relationship dynamic where both individuals feel valued and secure. A man who confidently sets boundaries communicates a powerful message. He respects himself, he values his time, and he refuses to be manipulated or taken for granted. In turn, this earns the respect of others and strengthens both personal and professional relationships. Number 10. The art of emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is often misunderstood as being cold or unfeeling, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful traits a man can develop. It is the ability to maintain inner peace and self-control, regardless of external circumstances. Women, like everyone else, are naturally drawn to those who exhibit emotional strength and resilience. A man who can manage his emotions with grace, rather than reacting impulsively, commands respect and intrigue. The foundation of emotional detachment begins with understanding that your emotions are yours to control. Instead of allowing someone else's actions or words to dictate your mood, you remain composed and centered. For example, if a woman pulls away or becomes distant, an emotionally reactive man might panic, chase, or demand an explanation. A man who practices detachment, however, understands that her behavior is not a reflection of his worth. Instead of seeking immediate validation, he focuses on his own growth and lets the situation unfold naturally. Another crucial aspect of detachment is choosing your battles wisely. Not every disagreement requires an argument, and not every comment warrants a response. If a woman makes a sarcastic remark or tries to provoke a reaction, a detached man remains unfazed. He either responds with humor or simply ignores it. This ability to stay above petty conflicts demonstrates emotional intelligence and self-control, qualities that women find incredibly attractive. Emotional detachment also involves letting go of the fear of loss. Many men become clingy or controlling in relationships because they fear losing the person they care about. Ironically, this fear often pushes people away. A man who embraces detachment understands that relationships should be based on mutual desire, not desperation. He knows that if someone wants to leave, he will be fine on his own. This mindset not only makes him more attractive, but also creates a dynamic where he is valued rather than taken for granted. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate detachment is developing a strong sense of purpose. When a man is deeply focused on his goals, passions, and personal growth, he naturally becomes less emotionally dependent on others. He does not need constant reassurance or validation because his confidence comes from within. Whether it's a career ambition, a fitness goal, or a creative pursuit, having a strong purpose helps him stay grounded in himself rather than seeking fulfillment through external sources. Finally, emotional detachment does not mean suppressing emotions. It means responding rather than reacting. A detached man still experiences emotions, but he processes them in a way that does not compromise his self-respect. If a woman tests him, plays games, or tries to manipulate him, he does not fall into the trap of over-explaining or proving himself. Instead, he maintains his frame and allows his actions to speak louder than words. Mastering the art of emotional detachment makes a man not only more attractive, but also more powerful in all areas of life. It enables him to navigate relationships with confidence, handle challenges with composure, and ultimately maintain control over his own happiness.